Do you want more success, more growth, more results? Then it's time for the Boundless Success Accelerator from the Modern Observer Group. This isn't your average coaching program. It's where top performers come to dominate. Weekly group sessions, on-demand coaching, a community that's got your back, and a power-packed library of tools to supercharge your business and career. No more excuses, no more waiting. Get in, level up, and start building the life you've been dreaming about. Visit us at modernobserver.com/boundless success to join today. Let's get you to the next level.
We're here because the news is being distorted. We're here because people are being inundated with misinformation on social media. We're here because people are being judged guilty until proven innocent. We are fighting back with facts. This is not a safe zone, so buckle up, Buttercup. This is the raw, naked truth.
The Supreme Court to rule on agency independence. Global economic growth rises. A major deal between Nvidia and OpenAI, and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and here's the news you need to know. The Supreme Court agreed Monday to formally consider overruling its 90-year-old precedent that enables Congress to provide certain agencies with a degree of independence from the White House, a major test of President Trump's expansive assertion of presidential power. The justices are set to review Trump's contention that he can fire independent agency leaders at will, an argument that casts their protections against being removed for cause as infringing on the separation of powers. Oral arguments are set for December, with a decision expected by next summer. Until then, the court's order temporarily greenlights Trump's firing of Federal Trade Commission member Rebecca Slaughter over the dissents of the court's 3 liberal judges. President Trump said on Monday the FDA will add new warning labels to Tylenol, citing research linking acetaminophen use during pregnancy to autism. He told reporters that pregnant women should avoid the drug unless treating a high-risk fever, and that doctors will be formally notified of the new guidance. The White House pointed to studies from Johns Hopkins, Yale, and Harvard showing associations between prenatal acetaminophen and neurodevelopmental issues. The American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists maintains there's no clear evidence linking the proper use of Tylenol to developmental issues. The administration also announced it will begin the approval process for leucovorin, a cancer drug that has shown early promise for easing autism symptoms. Chicago sanctioned a swim in the Chicago River for the first time since 1926. The river has been filled with industrial pollution and sewage, but cleanup efforts over many decades finally allowed 500 swimmers to race in a fundraiser for ALS research. The Department of Homeland Security said Monday it would not follow California's new law banning its agents from covering their faces during enforcement operations. To be clear, we will not comply with California Governor Gavin Newsom's unconstitutional mask ban, DHS said Monday in a post on the social platform X. DHS suggested the masks provide protection for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents who have seen a sharp rise in attacks in recent months. At a time that ICE law enforcement faces a 1,000% increase in assaults and their family members are being doxxed and targeted, the sitting governor of California signed unconstitutional legislation that strips law enforcement of protections in a disgusting, diabolical fundraising and PR stunt, DHS said in a statement. Newsom, a possible 2028 presidential contender, signed a first-of-its-kind bill on Saturday banning ICE agents from wearing masks while operating in the state. As the United Nations General Assembly gets underway this week, Americans still see the organization as necessary but ineffective. A new Gallup poll found that 60% said they see the UN as necessary, down from 85% in 1997, and 63% said it's doing a poor job of solving global problems. Nvidia will invest $100 billion in OpenAI as the artificial intelligence lab sets out to build hundreds of billions of dollars in data centers based around Nvidia's AI chips, the company said on Monday. OpenAI plans to build and deploy Nvidia systems that require 10 gigawatts of power, the company said on Monday. A gigawatt is a measure of power that is increasingly being used to describe the biggest clusters of AI chips. Nvidia stock rose 3% during trading on Monday. The partnership highlights how linked OpenAI and Nvidia are as two of the biggest drivers of the recent artificial intelligence boom. Demand for Nvidia's GPUs first started rising when OpenAI first released ChatGPT in 2022, and OpenAI still relies on Nvidia's AI chips called GPUs to develop its software and deploy it to its users. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development upgraded its global economic growth forecast on Tuesday, with many economies appearing more resilient than expected so far this year. The OECD now expects global growth of 3.2% this year, compared to the 2.9% expansion it had forecast in June. Expectations for 2026 were unchanged at 2.9%. This would mark a slowdown from the 3.3% growth seen in 2024. Growth expectations for the U.S. were also lifted to 1.8% for 2025, compared to June's 1.6% estimate. This still marks a significant fall from 2024's 2.8% growth. However, the organization forecasts 1.5% growth for the U.S. in 2026. Global growth was more resilient than anticipated in the first half of 2025, especially in many emerging market economies, the organization said in a new report. That's the Raw Naked Truth. You can catch every episode of the Raw Naked Truth Daily News Brief, as well as our sister podcast, Carnivore Radio, with news analysis and commentary, and the rest of the Xvadio Podcast Network at xvadio.com, the Apple Podcast app, YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. We'll see you next time.